Welcome to the bold analysis. One of the grounds that the Catholic Archbishop of Nairobi, Philip Anyolo, used to reject the over 7 million donation from State House was on the public appeals fundraising bill that is currently in the Senate. And this bill was formed, actually it came about after the Gen Z complained about the flashy lifestyle and the amount of money that the politicians were pouring in the public, while service delivery is a problem in different sectors of the economy. So today, that is one of the grounds that, if you read that letter, it was one of the grounds for them to reject Ruto's money. Now that bill is in Parliament, is in the Senate, and today it was the government reviewed it, and there's some critical changes they want to make to that bill, and because they feel threatened that if the bishops used it as one of the grounds to reject President Ruto's donation, then it is showing some disaster. It is a precursor for disaster for the political class. I want us to look at those changes, and you'll see the reaction from REJECTED-Khalwale and Kisii Senator Onyonka reacting to the government proposal to tweak part of that bill. But before that, I want to humbly ask you to subscribe to our channel. We are on our way to 100,000 subscribers. We have achieved 93,500 subscribers so far. So we are short of 6,500 subscribers to reach 100,000. So kindly subscribe. Subscribing to our channel is absolutely free. There is no money being cut on your account or anything. Even your email is normally secure because we cannot access it. The only advantage is when we publish a video, you are going to receive our notifications. But again, there is a partnership we have with Topmark Movers. Topmark Movers is a company that are specialists in relocation and moving you from one place to the other. So as you can see in the poster here, if you're moving your office items or even have some things you want to move from town to up country, you need a reliable company that will ensure the safety of your properties. And that is why we recommend to you Topmark Movers, so that you can work with professionals. They are very affordable, and of course, I guarantee you that you're going to get the value for your money. So contact Topmark Movers there and consider your logistics challenges addressed. The Cabinet Secretary in charge Treasury, according to the bill, is supposed to oversee national fundraising, permit, and of course that bill, I need to say, that bill was supposed to regulate state and public officers on participating in harambes, because they were really, it was being used as a political leverage. And of course that bill was supposed to detonate our politics from that money. Of course, detonate our politics from the use of money. So, in what they were actually putting there is that the Cabinet Secretary will give permissions and investigate the process. This would include the money trail. And let me explain money trail. For example, if a politician goes to church and you want to donate, you're not going to be allowed to donate in cash. If it is your money, then we should see money trail from your account to that account. Because without that, if you allow the politicians to carry cash to the church, then you can't know, if that money is already withdrawn and they're already holding it, you can't know where it is from. Now, if with the money trail coming from personal account to that, you'll be able first to tax it. Number two, you'll be able to ascertain whether it is coming from public coffers or it is from private account. Because from that account, they'll be able to know, did some money arrive yesterday? Then they remove it, taking it to church. Because that is one of the things that is also supposed to cure. It also supposed to cure money laundering, which was really a big blow at that time. Now, they want to edit and tweak it because they believe that it is going to outlaw fundraisers by the political class. And that is why both Khalwale and Onyonka were raising their voice about this bill.
Ama saidie mahali kuna ugumu, atoe hiyo hela. Shida iliyoko huu mswada haja yake ni kuhakikisha kuwa wale ambao ni viongozi tumekuwa tukiiba rasilimali za wananchi, halafu tunaenda mpaka kwa matanga ndio kwenda kuonyesha wale watu maskini kwa wewe unaweza kulipa shilingi 1200 kumzika mtu aliyefariki, lakini wakati ulikuwa kiongozi haukuamka kuzungumza vile atatibiwa kwa hospitali ambako hamna madawa. Sheria ambayo tunataka kubadilisha ni kutoa ufisadi kutoka kwa kusaidia watu maskini, kwa sababu vile tunavyosaidia watu maskini tuna pretend kuwa tunawasaidia, lakini hatusuluhishi yale mashida ama zile shida ambazo nchi yetu inazo. So ndugu zangu wale mko hapa, mnaweza kufanya amendment na kubali na nyinyi, lakini wacha niwaambie hivi: kwa sababu sisi ndio tumeharibu uongozi wa nchi yetu, kwa sababu sisi ndio mafisadi wakubwa, kwa sababu sisi ndio tumapretenda wakubwa, barabara ni mbaya, hospitali ni mbaya, madawa hakuna hospitali, maji hayako nyumbani, alafu ukisikia mtu ana diarrhea unasema tumia hao jamaa, watu washakufa, tutamzika ki. Ningependa kuwauliza nyinyi viongozi hapa, huu mswada uendelee hivyo hivyo, tutoe ufisadi kutoka kwa kusaidia mtu maskini, ili ukitoa pesa kanisa ama ukitoa pesa kwa mchango, tumia Safaricom na useme hiyo pesa ulitoa wapi, ukaleta kunitolea wakati nimefariki, kwa sababu wakati ambako nilikuwa mgonjwa hakukuwa na madawa. Asante ndugu Speaker.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, taking over from where the Senator of Kisii has left. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, taking over from where the Senator of Kisii has left, I want to remind colleagues that this is our baby. When we rose to respond to the disaster of the Gen Z, one of the things we resolved upon in this House, in that great debate that we had never seen before, was that we had to address the displeasure by the young people on how we spend all our time showing off opulence, choppers, vehicles that cost over 51 million shillings. And the youth, because they are better educated than what our generation was at their time, they are able to relate your income to what you contribute in Harambee. So we said, let us regulate this. The intention of this bill, and I want to urge colleagues, let us read it. The intention is not to abolish Harambees. The intention is to sanitize. The intention is to make it decent. The intention is to make sure that we don't hide in Harambees to practice corruption.
To the surprise of many, they're actually telling the president and the Kenya Kwanza administration that this is their baby. So they cannot mutilate it. They cannot mutilate it because the bishops, the Catholic bishops, actually ashamed the president. I saw, you could read the guilt in it. When Kindiki was giving the same donation in Kirinyaga, the ground, he really tried to convince the media that, this is sadaka, so this is not donation. He tried. So he himself, when he was talking in Kirinyaga, he was so guilty and he knew that he's breaching the law. Now, if you want to know, the government is putting a well-coordinated plan. There are some rent-seeking press briefing that was held in Kisii. Some gentlemen masquerading also as members of the clergy were holding a press briefing in some church corridor somewhere, and they chose to trivialize the Catholic bishop's decision to return that money. Of course, telling them to return all the money that had always been given by politicians.
The Kenya Kwanza government has made many unpopular and seemingly oppressive decisions in the past, but that should not form the basis upon which the clergy will theologically mislead the nation, even with the issuance of uncalled for cash threats. We know that our submission may make us so unpopular and might cause us to become so unpopular, but we also understand that we have a moral responsibility to set the record straight. In 2019, we are in record as a church, that we are in record, and we dared the Catholic Church in particular to refund all the monies which they had received from the politicians, because they believed that that money was debt. But to date, there is no any information that any monies were refunded. It has also caught our attention, and it's so clear to us that the threat to refund or to return money only comes into play when the money in question is from Dr. William Samoei Ruto and not from any other politician, including the white envelopes that are presented by the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta. Therefore, we take this to be more of a personal issue between the clergy or the priests and the president. It is not a corporate thing, and neither can it qualify to be a moral issue. I want to say this, and we want to say this: it is good for public image and emotional mass weeping to appear to refund 2 million when the said church and the organization has received over 3 billion from the said individual and his friends from 2017. We still dare the Catholic Church and any other church that feels offended by the monies given by politicians.
I think these clones here that were just organized in some corner, which to trivialize the whole discussion, is part of a strategy to water down, to run a propaganda scheme around it. It is not new. Bishop Onyonka rejected a car gift from President Ruto in 2019. Yes, but it is so consistent. You can trivialize it, but when you read, when you just go online, you search multiple stories of him rejecting a car gift from President Ruto back then. And I want to answer a question that I think I've seen it being asked. Let's pick it. Let's pick it. Online, there are videos of Uhuru Kenyatta, Mwai Kibaki, Raila Odinga, and other politicians donating money to the Catholic, and the clergy, they took that money. Now, so question is being asked that why is it that, in fact, there is another one from Embu, that Uhuru Kenyatta gave another envelope to a bishop in Embu. In fact, that one should not even fall within this discussion, because What Uhuru gave was a personal gift, not to Catholic Church, but to that bishop. And if you're keen, when you listen to Uhuru Kenyatta's speech, Uhuru referred to that bishop as a personal friend. And he said he was going to give to that bishop for his elevation. That money was not given to church. You cannot even compare that with what was given by Uhuru and Kindiki the following Sunday, rather on Sunday. Now, but let's go to, they're asking, in the past, why is it that they're making a U-turn? I want to answer it straight by saying one thing I blamed the government for. I may not have exact reason why the Catholic bishops rejected. Me and you and I, we don't have that reason. But at some point I did analysis and I said that the intelligence around the president got it wrong. Sometimes it is about the motive. You know, you can't come and I want to use analogy. You can't come to my home and abuse me in my home. No, let me do that. Yes. Let me say you can't come to my home and you want to abuse me in my home. Unanitukana. All that. Then when you go out, you come back and say, now I want to pay your rent. What am I saying? Now what am I saying? When the Catholic bishops issued that presser, they were profiled and the whole government unleashed the machinery. That reaction was even wrong. Glad I've seen some even has pulled down, has even apologized and withdrawn their statements. So, and the worst of it was Oscar Sudi profiling Anthony Muheria. Then just the next day, you go to their church, you want to act like now you are doing some benevolence. You know. So that act, to that angle, you are like, this is the reaction. It's like you're asking, maybe you guys just need money doing it. So the context, to my end, the context was very complex. And the decision, because who has lost? It is the president's image that has been dented. It is not the image of the church. It is the president's image. Because even if you look at the public reaction, you'll realize that president's image has suffered it. Now, why do government now want to change that bill after the donation was rejected? Yeah, remember that this bill was here, not a coincidence. It was here because of the Gen Z protest. Because Gen Z's questioned why Oscar Sudi was donating 20 million to a church while a nearby school there is, and in fact, I listened to some argument that when president was in Jacaranda, alisema kwamba sijui barabara ni mbaya kama yenye naenda binguni, kama yenye naenda sijui, like going to hell or something. And people are saying, oh, Mr. President, you ought not to say that because you are the one who is supposed to make that road. Nasema hii barabara ni mbaya kama sijui yenye naenda wapi. And that is that is the argument by Khalwale that all that money, and that is what the public is saying, that money we're giving, you go and send 20 million to build a church, which is only used on Sunday, while a nearby school, public school there doesn't even have desks and enough teachers. While the hospital that is just adjacent to that church, a hospital that helps Mwananchi Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday, doesn't have drugs. Why do they want to change it? It's centered around this. The public need to understand one thing, that some of those political benevolence are actually wash laundry platforms. Clear. I used to hear a story, and that sometime back before 2022, politicians will go to Mount Kenya, pledge 10 million, then take 10 million, then half is returned. Say 10 million, they'll take 5, you take even 200,000, and the rest of it is returned. And it forms the basis of going to withdraw that money. And that is why Uhuru was saying, do you remember when Uhuru was saying at one point that if you want to withdraw or deposit 1 million, you need to declare? That is the basis. Number 2, I think the Kenya Kwanza have realized that there is always token for airtime. The reason why politicians go to church is not to pray. I'm glad that even my church is among the 30 Pentecostal churches that have said they are not going to accept that. Even in my church, there is no campaigns in the pulpit, though. So why politicians go to sometimes to church is to buy the airtime. And the service, hiyo siku mwanasiasa hako, service inapelekwa haraka sana. You see there is a lot of haste. So if service yenye inashenga saa 8, hiyo time, hiyo siku unaambiwa preaching itaisha saa 9. And then you will be seated there for all those hours listening to rubbish, to trash from the political class in the pulpit. And each one, the time they rise, they give, pesa, then people celebrate, and when they give, it's seen as benevolence, and the hulululu and all that. But in real sense, it is just public money being abused. The issue is the regulation. They seem to have a problem that a CS is regulating it because they can leak. Yeah, it's very easy for the CS, the legal framework, to leak out where because majority of this money, for example, Ruto wezi niambia anaweza toa pesa yake kwa akaunti yake kupatia kanisa. No, he will go to that confidential budget. There is a budget that is given to some state officers. It is some confidential budget. Ni pesa unapewa yenye we are not going to ask you how you spend it. So that legal that regulation, even they're so keen on. OCS mwenye nafaa regulator anaweza leak kwamba pesa hukutoa yako ulitoa ya serikali. Most of these benevolence by the politicians are actually public money. So they really fear because they're not actually doing their money. Thank you.